Around 150 million years ago, Earth entered an age unlike any before. Towering forests covered the continents, vast oceans stretched beyond every horizon, and above it all, the skies became home to a remarkable new generation of life. The Late Jurassic was no longer a world defined only by giants walking the land. It had become a planet where life mastered every dimension: land, sea, and sky. Warm climates and rising seas transformed much of the planet into a network of islands, shallow coastlines, and inland seas. These changing landscapes created countless opportunities for evolution, allowing new ecosystems to flourish wherever land, water, and air met together. The sky offered freedom unlike any other environment. Invisible currents carried soaring reptiles across enormous distances, allowing them to travel with extraordinary efficiency. Rather than fighting the wind, they learned to become part of it. Powered by lightweight skeletons and immense wings supported by a single elongated finger, pterosaurs developed one of nature's most elegant methods of flight. Every movement conserved energy, allowing them to remain airborne for hours above the Jurassic world. From high above the forests, rivers appeared like silver ribbons weaving through an endless green landscape. Dinosaur herds crossed open plains below, while distant coastlines shimmered beneath the morning sun. From this perspective, every ecosystem became part of one connected planet. Along the coast, warm rising air formed invisible highways through the sky. These natural updrafts allowed pterosaurs to glide effortlessly above towering cliffs and crashing waves, turning the shoreline into one of the richest aerial environments on Earth. Flight was not always about hunting. Much of each day was spent simply traveling, observing, and searching for favorable winds. Like modern seabirds, success often depended more on understanding the atmosphere than on strength alone. Every coastline generated its own patterns of moving air. As ocean winds collided with ancient cliffs, columns of rising air lifted even the largest pterosaurs without demanding constant wing beats. Nature itself became part of their flight. Far below, life continued at its own steady pace. Rivers flowed patiently toward the sea. Forests expanded across fertile valleys, and dinosaur herds followed ancient migration routes. From above, these movements formed an intricate rhythm connecting every landscape. The Jurassic sky belonged to no single species. It was a shared environment shaped by sunlight, wind, geography, and time. Those capable of understanding these invisible forces earned access to one of the greatest frontiers evolution had ever created. As the morning warmed, stronger thermal currents began rising from the land. These invisible columns of heated air carried soaring reptiles even higher, allowing them to cross vast distances while expending remarkably little energy. From such remarkable heights, familiar landmarks guided every journey. Winding rivers, isolated islands, coastal lagoons, and mountain ridges formed a natural map that experienced flyers could recognize across enormous territories. The atmosphere never remained constant. Winds shifted, temperatures changed, and weather patterns evolved throughout the day. Survival depended not on resisting these changes, but on adapting to them with extraordinary precision. Beneath broad wings, sunlight reflected across the ocean's surface, while shadows drifted silently over the waves. Above and below, two different worlds moved together, linked by light, wind, and water. Coastal waters supplied abundant fish, but these resources changed constantly with tides and currents. Successful flyers learned to recognize the subtle signs that revealed where food would be found long before it became visible. Navigation required more than instinct. It demanded memory, observation, and an intimate understanding of Earth's changing landscapes. Generation after generation, these skills became deeply woven into their lives. At the horizon, sky and ocean blended into a single, endless expanse. For every pterosaur, each sunrise marked the beginning of another journey across a world that seemed almost without limits. From above, the sea revealed hidden clues. Variations in color exposed differences in depth, underwater currents, and nutrient-rich waters where marine life gathered in astonishing abundance. Millions of years of evolution produced creatures perfectly adapted to an aerial existence. They were not built simply for speed, but for endurance, efficiency, and complete harmony with the atmosphere surrounding them. As the sun climbed higher, the skies remained alive with graceful silhouettes riding invisible rivers of air. Yet beneath the glittering surface of the ocean, another extraordinary world was waiting to be explored, one whose ancient waters held secrets every bit as remarkable as the skies above. Beyond the coastline, the ocean stretched farther than any creature could ever see. Its surface appeared calm, yet beneath the gentle waves, enormous currents silently transported heat, nutrients, and life across entire continents. These invisible rivers would become the foundation of one of Earth's most complex ecosystems. Unlike rivers on land, ocean currents never followed fixed channels. Driven by wind, temperature, and the shape of ancient continents, they constantly shifted across the Jurassic seas. Every movement influenced where food accumulated and where life could flourish. The richest waters often formed where different currents met. Here, microscopic plankton multiplied in extraordinary numbers, creating vast underwater pastures capable of supporting fish, marine reptiles, and countless other forms of life throughout the food web. To the human eye, these changes would have been almost impossible to detect. Yet many marine animals sensed subtle differences in temperature, salinity, and movement, allowing them to locate productive waters with astonishing precision. Every current carried more than water. It transported oxygen, nutrients, and the energy that sustained entire ecosystems. Across the Jurassic oceans, these invisible pathways connected distant habitats into a single living network. Where nutrient-rich water reached shallow continental shelves, life flourished. Coral communities expanded, fish gathered in dense schools, and marine invertebrates transformed the seafloor into one of the most productive environments on the planet. The shallow seas of the Late Jurassic were far from empty. Beneath the clear water, countless organisms occupied different layers of the ocean, each contributing to a delicate ecological balance maintained over millions of years. Schools of prehistoric fish moved together with remarkable coordination. Their synchronized movements reduced the risk of predation while allowing thousands of individuals to respond almost instantly to subtle changes in the surrounding water. Above these shimmering schools, larger marine reptiles cruised with quiet confidence. They rarely wasted energy on unnecessary movement, relying instead on patience, experience, and an intimate knowledge of the ocean's rhythms. The sea rewarded efficiency. Every unnecessary burst of speed consumed valuable energy, while those that mastered the currents could travel immense distances with minimal effort, conserving strength for the moments that truly matter. Far from shore, sunlight penetrated only the upper layers of the ocean. Below, the water gradually darkened into endless shades of blue, creating a vast, three-dimensional environment unlike anything found on land.
This remarkable diversity is possible because every species
Even in these
has
open
evolved
waters,
to use
life
the
remained
landscape
closely
differently.
connected to the surface. The sun-powered microscopic algae drifting within the upper ocean, forming the primary source of energy for nearly every marine ecosystem that followed. Tiny plankton, almost invisible to the naked eye, supported creatures thousands of times larger than themselves. Their abundance demonstrated one of nature's greatest truths, that even the largest predators ultimately depend upon the smallest forms of life. As the currents carried these microscopic organisms across the sea, they nourished fish, invertebrates, and marine reptiles alike. Every meal, every migration, and every generation depended upon this continuous movement of energy through the ocean. From above, the surface revealed only a fraction of the story. Beneath every wave existed an intricate world of drifting organisms, hunting predators, and ancient ecosystems unfolding in perfect synchronization. The deeper the water became, the quieter the environment appeared. Yet silence did not mean emptiness. Every layer contained species uniquely adapted to the changing pressure, temperature, and available light. For millions of years, these oceans remained remarkably stable. That stability allowed evolutionary relationships to become increasingly specialized, producing marine communities of extraordinary diversity and complexity. Across the open sea, every current acted like an invisible road connecting distant populations. Animals separated by hundreds of kilometers could still remain linked through the movement of water itself. The ocean was never divided into isolated regions. Every coastline, reef, island, and continental shelf belonged to a much larger system, whose boundaries were defined not by geography, but by the endless circulation of the sea. Soon, one of the ocean's most graceful travelers will emerge from these ancient waters. Perfectly adapted to life beneath the waves, it reveals how evolution shaped marine reptiles into masters of an environment as vast as the planet itself. Among the many reptiles that inhabited these ancient seas, few moved with greater elegance than Cryptocleides. With 4 powerful flippers working in perfect harmony, it glided effortlessly through calm coastal waters, conserving energy while exploring one of the richest marine environments of the Jurassic. Unlike fast pursuit predators, Cryptocleides relied on patience and precision. Its long neck extended quietly through the water, allowing it to search among schools of fish and small cephalopods, while keeping the rest of its body almost motionless. This graceful hunting strategy reduced disturbance within the surrounding water. Rather than chasing prey over long distances, it exploited brief opportunities, striking only when success seemed almost certain. Its unusually flexible neck offered remarkable reach, but also demanded careful control. Every movement had to remain smooth, preventing unnecessary turbulence that might warn nearby prey of its approach. Life beneath the surface rarely involved constant pursuit. Much of each day was spent navigating the changing currents, conserving strength, and responding to the subtle movements of an ecosystem that never truly stood still. While some marine reptiles specialized in shallow coastal habitats, others ventured far into the open ocean. There, entirely different challenges awaited, including deeper waters, stronger currents, and prey adapted to life far from land. Among these open water specialists was Ophthalmosaurus. Streamlined, powerful, and exceptionally well adapted for speed, it represented a very different solution to survival beneath the waves. Its large eyes remain among the most remarkable features ever discovered in any marine reptile. Reinforced by bony support structures, they allowed remarkable vision even in dimly lit waters far below the surface. Excellent eyesight expanded both hunting opportunities and navigation. Whether pursuing fish through clear coastal waters or descending into darker depths, Ophthalmosaurus depended upon vision to interpret an ever-changing underwater world. Its streamlined body reduced resistance while 4 strong flippers generated continuous propulsion. Every detail of its anatomy reflected millions of years of refinement for efficient movement through open water. Unlike animals confined to shallow seas, Ophthalmosaurus could travel extraordinary distances. Vast stretches of ocean became accessible, linking distant coastlines through long, seasonal journeys across the prehistoric world. These migrations were guided by food, temperature, and changing currents rather than fixed destinations. The ocean itself became a constantly shifting map whose routes evolved from season to season. Beneath the waves, survival depended not only upon strength, but also upon timing. Arriving at productive feeding grounds, even a few days too early or too late, could dramatically change the chances of success. The Late Jurassic Ocean rewarded adaptability. Species capable of responding quickly to environmental change were often the ones that flourished across the greatest distances and the widest range of habitats. Despite their differences, Cryptocladus and Ophthalmosaurus shared the same ancient sea. Each occupied its own ecological niche, reducing competition while contributing to the remarkable diversity of Jurassic marine life. extended far beyond individual species. Every predator, every prey animal, and every drifting organism formed part of an interconnected web sustained by sunlight, nutrients, and the constant circulation of the ocean. Yet, even within this balanced world, another presence existed, far larger than either of these graceful swimmers. It moved through the sea with quiet authority, rarely needing to announce its arrival. Long before it became visible, other animals often sensed its approach. Schools of fish shifted direction, smaller reptiles altered their paths. Subtle changes spread through the ecosystem without panic, but with unmistakable awareness. In healthy ecosystems, the greatest predators are rarely the most active. Their influence extends far beyond direct encounters, quietly shaping the behavior of countless other species throughout the food web. Soon, the ancient ocean will reveal one of its most iconic inhabitants, a predator whose immense size inspired generations of fascination, yet whose greatest strength was not relentless aggression, but complete mastery of its environment. For much of the Jurassic, one marine reptile stood above all others in size and influence. Liopleurodon was not simply another predator. It occupied the highest level of the marine food web, shaping the behavior of countless species throughout the ancient ocean. Despite its enormous size, Liopleurodon rarely needed to move with urgency. Powerful flippers carried its massive body through the water with remarkable efficiency, allowing it to patrol vast territories while conserving valuable energy. Its presence alone often altered the surrounding environment. Schools of fish tightened their formations, while smaller marine reptiles adjusted their movements long before the giant itself came fully into view. Unlike the dramatic image often portrayed in fiction, the life of an apex predator was defined more by patience than by constant pursuit. Much of each day passed in quiet travel, observation, and careful use of energy. Every successful hunter must balance risk with reward. Chasing prey unnecessarily could waste precious energy, while waiting for the right opportunity often proved far more effective within the vastness of the open sea. Liopleurodon shared its environment with countless other species, each fulfilling its own ecological role. Even the largest predator remained only one participant within a far greater network of life sustained by the oceans. The true strength of the Jurassic seas did not come from individual species, but from the extraordinary balance maintained between predators, prey, currents, and the microscopic organisms supporting the entire ecosystem. Every ocean current carried nutrients toward new feeding grounds. Every migration linked distant populations. Every seasonal change reshaped the opportunities available to animals throughout the marine world. Far above the surface, winds continued guiding pterosaurs across ancient coastlines. Below, rivers carried fresh water toward the sea. Deep beneath the waves, invisible currents connected every habitat into one continuous living system. No environment existed in isolation. Mountains influenced rivers, rivers nourished estuaries, estuaries enriched the oceans. Together, these natural processes formed an interconnected planet long before humans ever appeared. The story of the Late Jurassic is therefore far greater than the story of dinosaurs alone. It is the story of an Earth whose atmosphere, oceans, geology, and living organisms evolved together over immense spans of time. Water became the planet's greatest architect. It carved valleys, shaped coastlines, transported nutrients, regulated climate, and connected ecosystems across continents and oceans without ever ceasing its endless movement. Rain falling upon distant mountains eventually returned to the sea through rivers and wetlands. This continuous circulation sustained forests, nourished coastlines, and renewed marine ecosystems year after year. Even the smallest plankton drifting beneath the surface depended upon this planetary cycle. Their abundance supported fish, marine reptiles, and ultimately every predator occupying the upper levels of the food web. The oceans appeared limitless, yet every drop of water remained connected to a much larger global system. Nothing within nature existed entirely alone. Every process influenced countless others across the living planet. The same sunlight warming the forest also powered microscopic algae floating within the upper ocean. From towering conifers to invisible plankton, life remained united through one shared source of energy. Across millions of years, rivers continued flowing, coastlines slowly shifted, mountains gradually changed, and ecosystems adapted with remarkable resilience. Earth's greatest achievements were built through patience rather than speed. Generation after generation, species appeared, evolved, and eventually disappeared. Yet the natural system supporting life endured. continually creating opportunities for new forms to emerge within changing environments. Seen from above, the Late Jurassic was not merely an age of giants. It was a living planet where land, sea, sky, climate, and time operated together with extraordinary harmony. As our journey begins to draw toward its conclusion, one truth becomes increasingly clear. The greatest wonder of the Jurassic was never any single creature, but the planet itself. A world whose endless cycles continue shaping life to this very day. Every forest, every river, every coastline, and every ocean belonged to the same planetary system. Although each landscape appeared unique, none could exist independently. Water, sunlight, atmosphere, and geology worked together continuously, shaping life across the Jurassic world. Clouds forming above the ancient oceans carried fresh water deep into the continents. Rain nourished forests, rivers transported nutrients back toward the sea, and the cycle quietly repeated without interruption for millions of years. These natural cycles demanded no direction. They were governed entirely by the physical laws of the planet itself. Gravity guided rivers downhill, sunlight warmed the atmosphere, and Earth's rotation distributed energy across every continent and ocean. Life evolved within these rhythms rather than controlling them. Every species, from microscopic plankton to the largest marine reptiles, depended upon environmental stability created by forces far older than life itself. Even the towering conifer forests owed their existence to distant oceans. Moisture carried inland by atmospheric circulation eventually returned as rain, sustaining landscapes hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest coastline. The rivers that crossed the Jurassic continent were more than waterways. They acted as living corridors, transporting minerals, sediments, and nutrients while linking mountain ranges, forests, wetlands, and shallow seas into one interconnected system. Beneath the ocean's surface, invisible currents performed a similar task. They redistributed heat, oxygen, and microscopic life across enormous distances, allowing marine ecosystems to remain productive throughout the ancient world. Every sunrise renewed this remarkable balance. As light spread across the continents, photosynthesis began once again, providing the energy that supported nearly every food chain on land and in the upper layers of the sea. From orbit, none of these individual processes could be seen directly, yet together they formed something extraordinary, a planet whose atmosphere, oceans, land, and living organisms functioned as one integrated system. Long before humans attempted to understand nature, Earth had already perfected these relationships. Every cycle reinforced another, creating a resilience that allowed life to flourish despite constant environmental change. Mountains slowly rose as tectonic forces reshaped the continents. Rivers responded by carving new valleys. Coastlines shifted with changing sea levels, and ecosystems quietly adapted to landscapes that never remained completely still. Deep time transformed every corner of the Jurassic Earth. While individual lives lasted only years or decades, geological processes unfolded across millions of years, gradually building the environments that supported entire civilizations of life. Within this immense timeline, extinction and renewal were equally natural. Species appeared, diversified, disappeared, and gave way to others, while the planet itself continued evolving through uninterrupted cycles of change. No organism existed outside these processes. Every living creature inherited a world already shaped by countless generations before it, and in turn contributed to the environments that future generations would inherit. Seen from this perspective, the Jurassic was not simply an age of giant reptiles. It represented one chapter within a much longer story, a story written by oceans, atmosphere, sunlight, geology, and time itself. The greatest architect of Earth's history has never been any individual species. It has always been the quiet persistence of natural processes acting continuously across unimaginable spans of time. Every wave reaching the shore, every cloud crossing the sky, every river flowing toward the sea became part of a rhythm that continues on our planet even today, connecting the present with an ancient past. Although millions of years now separate us from the late Jurassic, the same physical forces still shape the modern Earth. The landscapes have changed, but the fundamental systems remain remarkably familiar. Looking back through deep time reveals something extraordinary. The creatures of the Jurassic may have vanished, yet the living planet that sustained them has never stopped changing, adapting, and creating new possibilities for life. Our journey is no longer simply about the world of dinosaurs. It has become the story of Earth itself, a planet whose greatest achievement is not the rise of any single species, but its endless ability to renew life across every age. As the sun rises over the late Jurassic world once more, forests awaken beneath drifting mist. Rivers resume their endless journey toward the sea, and gentle waves roll across ancient coastlines. Life begins another ordinary day on a planet that has repeated this rhythm for countless millions of years. Nothing within nature remains completely still. Clouds drift across the sky, winds reshape the atmosphere, rivers slowly alter the land, and oceans quietly redistribute warmth across the globe. Change is not an exception to Earth's history, it is its defining characteristic. The creatures we have encountered throughout this journey were extraordinary, yet none existed alone. Every wingbeat, every migration, every hunt, and every new generation depended upon the invisible relationships connecting the entire planet. The forests of the Jurassic absorbed sunlight just as forests do today. Ancient oceans circulated nutrients much as modern oceans still do. Although millions of years have passed, many of Earth's greatest systems remain remarkably familiar. Time eventually transformed this ancient world. Continents drifted into new positions, climate shifted, sea levels changed, and many remarkable species disappeared. Yet the planet itself continued adapting, preparing the stage for entirely new chapters of life. Extinction has never marked the end of Earth's story. Throughout deep time, every ending has opened space for new beginnings. Evolution continues where ever-changing environments create fresh opportunities for life to adapt. The giants of the Jurassic have long vanished, but the forces that sustained them remain active around us today. The same sunlight, water, atmosphere, and geology continue shaping the living world that we now call home. Every mountain, river, forest, coastline, and ocean visible today carries echoes of processes that began long before humanity existed. The history of Earth is written not in centuries, but in millions of years of continuous transformation. Looking back into the Jurassic reminds us that no species occupies the planet forever. Life is constantly changing, while Earth patiently continues creating, reshaping, and renewing the environments upon which every generation depends. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this ancient world is one of perspective. The planet has witnessed countless beginnings and endings, yet its extraordinary ability to support life has endured through each passing age. From the silence of space, the late Jurassic Earth appears as a brilliant blue world surrounded by darkness. Forests, oceans, mountains, rivers, clouds, and every living creature become part of one breathtaking planetary masterpiece. Seen from this distance, no individual species dominates the landscape. The true protagonist has always been Earth itself, a living planet whose atmosphere, oceans, and continents work together in remarkable harmony. Long after the final dinosaur disappeared, rivers continued flowing toward the sea. Forests continued growing beneath the sun. Oceans continued breathing with the rhythm of the tides. Nature never stopped moving forward. Every sunrise marks another beginning. Every sunset prepares the world for tomorrow. Across millions of years, this endless cycle has quietly connected every generation that has ever lived upon the Earth. Our own world is simply the latest chapter in a story that began billions of years ago. The landscapes may look different today, but the natural systems supporting life remain deeply connected to their ancient origins. When we study the Jurassic, we are not only exploring the lives of extinct animals, we are discovering the foundations of the living planet that continues to shape every forest, ocean, mountain, and river surrounding us today. The greatest journey through time does not end in the past. It returns us to the present with a deeper understanding that Earth has always been changing, and that every generation becomes part of its continuing story. Across deep time, countless species have appeared, flourished, and disappeared. Yet the planet has remained a place of endless possibility, continually creating new opportunities for life to evolve and thrive. As Earth continues its silent journey around the sun, another dawn begins beyond the horizon. Somewhere, rivers are flowing, oceans are breathing, forests are growing, and life is quietly writing its next chapter. Our journey through the world of the Jurassic now comes to a close, but the story of Earth has never truly had a final chapter. It continues with every sunrise, every tide, every season, and every generation that follows. The ancient world may be gone, yet the living planet endures, forever changing, forever connected, forever alive.